so as I introduced myself earlier, myself Vikram. I've been quite frequent here in this tech meetups as a speaker, as an attendee. I've given a couple of talks earlier as well. So first of all, to come to my background and my introduction, I've been working on .NET, Java, mostly on backend side of things for almost 16 years of my experience is 16 years. I have been writing blogs on my personal blog, technical blog, that is .NET for all. Though it is not very frequent now, the frequency has reduced due to multiple reasons. And I've been currently I'm working as lead system designer, architect at GE Healthcare for one of the products of the organization. So in this product, we are mostly working on .NET as our backend. And I've been involved in some cloud projects as well. I mostly use AWS as my primary cloud provider when I was working for cloud projects. Alright, so my today's topic is GitHub Copilot and AI. So there is lots of younger generation present here today. I think I would say like most of you would have definitely tried GitHub Copilot. How many of you have tried? Nice numbers. So coming to AI and what I would say, Copilot, what do you think? Will it replace our jobs? No. How many do you think that it will replace our jobs? Nice. How many of do you think that it will have no effect on our job? Or how many of you think that it will help us to learn more or progress in our jobs? Like it will be our, what I would say, colleague, or I would say teacher in our jobs who would help us to achieve more. Yeah. So that's what it is. It would be definitely helping us to achieve more, to have greater, what I would say, visibility and greater productivity coming out of our jobs, to write better code and have greater software development life cycles and processes with the help of GitHub Copilot. So what is GitHub Copilot? So as most of you would have, like this is an AI age, and you would not be surprised that these slides are prepared with the help of AI. Though I have not taken the whole of content which was thrown at me, I have edited them. But to start with, I have given my content like I want slides to be presented on this topic. They are through Meetup, like it was not Meetup. The AI is some product, it was Desktop Plus. So it has thrown a slide at me with some content. Of course, I have done some changes to the content, not some, most of the changes, but at least I got some template. What could be the structure of slide which I would be presenting, or what would be the topics which I need to present in for this specific talk. So this is the way AI is revolutionizing or helping us, or what I would say, it's an assistant. If we want to say, it's an assistant for any kind of work which we are doing. So what is Copilot? Copilot again is an assistant for developers or architects who wants to write better code, efficient code, or who wants to have a good amount of efficiency while they are writing the code. So what is AI? AI is basically, I'm not much deeper into AI and all those stuff, like I know from the surface, I have touched the surface for how it works. So basically models, AI thrives on the models, and models thrive on the data which has been presented or has been, what I would say, has been introduced to those models. So till GPT-3 there was like around 50 TB of data which have been introduced to create the models that was static. But now with the introduction of GPT-4, it would be crawling all our web pages and whatever is the material present on web, it would be crawling and presenting the data to us. So what is GPT?
It's a model.
It's model. What is the full form?
Generative pre-trained transform.
Right. Generative pre-trained
Transform.
transformer. So, yeah. That's a chocolate for you.
Thank you.
So what is Copilot? Copilot again, like GitHub, as most of you know, GitHub is a repository for our source code where we store our source code. There are lots of open source projects present there. There are lots of publicly what I would say, open. There are private repositories, public repositories. So GitHub, what they decided is that they would be reading the public repositories or the code lying on their at their side, and they would be coming up with these probability machines, which would be suggesting the code prompt. Like as a developer, I would be prompting something like provide me a class which contains some specific properties or fields. So I would be giving a prompt to the GitHub Copilot, and it would be returning us the code. So what is code? It's written basically a text which is returned by the GitHub Copilot, and it's generated. Basically, it's developed with the help of OpenAI and GitHub with the help of LLMs. What is LLM? Sorry, there were lots of answers, so I don't know who answered first. So, yeah. So GitHub is generating these models based on the source code which are present in their data centers and in their repositories. So we have been using autocompletes since quite some time. It's been, I don't know, since almost 8-9 plus years we are seeing the autocompletes whenever we type anything in our search engines. So this is the same thing. Like it has been evolved, and it has come to a stage where a code is developed for, or code is thrown at us if we are entering some prompt to the end user, to the GitHub or any AI machine. So mostly GitHub is there in this field which write code. There are no competitors as of now for GitHub which are doing the same thing. And again, this tool helps programmers to save time, effort, and it's mostly helpful in doing redundant tasks, or the tasks which most of the developers don't like to do. So as being problem solvers, we want to solve the problems, or we want to work on an interesting problem which evokes our senses, but we don't basically want to write some classes, properties, or we just don't want to write some code which writes something on files or all those stuff. So basically, mostly it is helpful in doing the redundant stuff which we don't want to do. Though it is evolving, I don't know to which stage it will come when it could write or read the context of our project. Like I can't, since as an example I am working on a healthcare project. So I won't be expecting GitHub Copilot to write a code which is domain specific to me. So there would be, I don't know when it would be coming at that stage, but it's definitely not at that stage where it can write code specific to my domain and specific to my project's context. So how does GitHub Copilot work? This I have already introduced. Like GitHub leverages AI and machine learning to provide code suggestions and auto completions, which I will be showing you in the end of the presentation. I would be walking you through an demo kind of stuff where I would be throwing some prompts to GitHub Copilot, and we'll see how it behaves. So benefits of GitHub Copilot. Of course, there are many benefits which it carries. One of them is increased productivity. We don't have to now more write redundant code or the code which we think that it would be of no help to increasing our knowledge or increasing solving any kind of problem. So it would be helpful in writing that kind of code. Of course, since GitHub is scanning lots of public repositories and lots of code on its own, and so there are chances that we would be getting better code and better design code which would be following some of the design principles which we often miss to meet our deadlines. There are chances that there would be less errors, there would be less, what I would say, syntactical errors or common coding errors. So there would be reduced chances of errors. It's a good learning resource. Since it's scanning lots of repositories and directories present at its servers, so it would be really a good learning resource. I don't know if you have tried ChatGPT for your learning purposes and all. So we can, the kind of stuff it provides it's very difficult to get that kind of stuff while we are searching on Google and any search engine. So maybe as an example, if you go to an interview and you try to in the interview itself you would be surprised to see many designing problems and questions. But if you ask OpenAI or ChatGPT, ask me any good designing question, the amount of questions which it would ask you are really good and the quality is really good. And first of all, it would be asking you questions. Now if you take those questions and give those questions as prompt to the ChatGPT, it would be returning very nice solutions as well. So definitely if we are thinking AI as our friend or as our contributor, it could do wonders for our careers to enhance our learnings and also. Again, it is very time saving that it automates the repetitive tasks, saving developers time and allowing them to focus on more complex problem solving stuff. So what are the tips and tricks to use GitHub Copilot effectively? So it definitely we have to come up with simple tasks initially. As it evolves, it's not like that we are only providing the prompts and it's returning our the solutions to us or kind of text in form of code to us. GitHub also evolves based on the type of prompts which we are providing. It takes the inputs and it reads those inputs and it analyzes those inputs on its own servers. This user is throwing those kind of prompts. So I have to be smart enough to give him more relevant answers or more relevant code. So we have to start with simple tasks and we can eventually make those tasks complex or be more generic going forward. But when we are starting, we have to be more specific. We have to provide simple prompts, and it's so GitHub is basically a repository where each and every kind of code lies. There are people like me who are dumping their garbage code to GitHub, which could be of no use. So GitHub is reading each and every kind of code. So it's not quite intelligent and it's not, I would say it's not, it would not be enough correct to train, and it would not be throwing, it's not like it would be throwing the right code or right solutions to you. So we have to judge the solutions which it is throwing. And also there are chances that some of the code which is lying there in GitHub might be using some outdated libraries. So we have to be very careful whatever are the libraries which have been used by the code which has been thrown to us by GitHub. And there could be some security vulnerabilities, potential security vulnerabilities could be coming out of code which has been thrown to us, so we have to take those things in mind. So as I mentioned, there are some shortcuts also available like spacebar and forward slash and all those stuff. You can search on internet like what are the shortcuts which GitHub Copilot accepts. So again, as I mentioned, it trains on our prompts. It will keep evolving as we are providing the prompts. It will keep evolving itself and showing better solutions going forward. So, what are the limitations? We have to know the boundaries. Okay, so as I mentioned, the suggestions are as good as they have data to train the models. There is only limited amount of data, or there is only data which is there presently. So it won't be going out of its data and going out of its boundaries to present something new to you as an AI machine. It would be throwing the answers which it has analyzed based on the GitHub repositories or public GitHub repositories which it is analyzing. So only known languages and frameworks are easier to develop. So basically, whatever are the latest languages and frameworks like C#, Java, or some front-end technologies, it won't be helping us to throw solutions based out of some legacy code, maybe like FoxPro or COBOL. We can't expect it to, if it gives, it's well and good, but we can't expect it to work on those legacy stuff. Sorry. And there could be instances that, like as I mentioned, that there could be instances that the repositories which are lying there on GitHub Copilot are not that much great. So we have to expect that there could be not so great code coming out of GitHub Copilot. So we have to continuously review the code, we have to continuously analyze the code, we have to continuously monitor the code for any vulnerabilities which could be thrown at us. So again, it's not a compiler, it doesn't know the syntax of our programming language. So GitHub would be mostly reading the context or file in which we are writing our prompt, and based on that it would be throwing the code of that specific language, which I will be showing you the demo. Again, it's a text predictor. It's just any text predictor which other GPTs are doing, or any AI machines are doing. It's text predictor, but the difference is it throws text in form of code. So there are only there are only few text editors or IDEs which are currently supporting Copilot. Not each and every IDE support Copilot. Some of them are like Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio, JetBrains, and maybe some Sublime Text and all those. Not IntelliJ and Eclipse, they are not yet there, which support GitHub Copilot. And again, it can take the context and provide suggestions. It's nothing more than that. So we have to be very careful while using the code which we are using in our projects coming out of GitHub Copilot. Okay, there could be some ethical applications of AI powered code development tools. So some of them are presented here. Like there could be issues with code ownerships and attributions. But the thing is, like anyone who doesn't want to share his code, he would be mostly keeping his code in private repositories and not in public repositories. So GitHub throws the code which is there, lying there in public repositories. But still we have to be careful about all those things. As I mentioned, quality and reliability could be one of the issues. And intellectual property and fragrance, like we are not, there could be some chances that we could be using the code which has been kind of declared IP, but there are very rare chances that code lying in public repositories could be an IP. Again, privacy and security. And if we are like taking AI for granted, it would be, I would say that you would be lacking the basic skills. If you are starting to learn code, I would suggest not to go to GitHub Copilot and expect everything or do it for you. So we have to be very good in basics, whatever programming language and framework we are using. So we should not miss on that. I don't know how much true it would be job displacement and industry disruption. I don't see it coming because it throws very generic code and it writes very generic and redundant code which developers generally don't like to write on their own.
Thank God for that.
Right, true. I don't know how much it will evolve. Would it be evolved to that stage where it can replace, but I don't think so. Because domain knowledge and context we still carry. It won't be knowing in which domain it wants to write the code. There are some chances that if we are posting our code in GitHub, then it there could be some scenarios going forward that it can read the context and domain also, like it can intelligently read your code files and it can, the AI can become so intelligent that it can read your domain, what domain are you writing the code, and maybe it can, going forward, it can come to a stage that we might not be required, but let's see. And again, there would be some legal and licensing issues coming out of it, but I don't think it would be very rare if someone is putting their code in public repository and GitHub is using this. So it means that I'm giving my permission for GitHub to use the code for their AI model training and all this. Okay, so this slide is coming out of the fact that I was thinking there would be architects or some decisions makers would be coming to this, so it's for their personal use. Like if you are in a team where you are taking decisions based on or in place of all of your team to the upper management. So what do you think, how you can convince upper management to integrate GitHub Copilot in your team workflow? So first we have to make sure that our team understands the GitHub capabilities and benefits. And along with that, the team also understands and knows the shortfalls or pitfalls where GitHub can provide some wrong code and wrong decisions could be taken on based on that. And again, as a decision maker, we have to confirm that teams' IDs are supported for GitHub Copilot, and we have to encourage team members to continuously learn about GitHub Copilot, how does it behaves. Instead of directly going to our writing code for our project, we can ask our team members to start with it and come up with their own thinking, like how does it work. So we have to utilize Copilot as a supportive tool, not a replacement of what we are working on. And again, coming to the security practices, that we have to make sure that Copilot is adhering to our security principles or guidelines which we are following in our projects while developing code. And again, as I mentioned, we have to regularly assess the quality of generated code by having regular code reviews and pair programming. So what are the use cases? The most of the use cases would be helping us to, as a developer, it would be helping us to increase our productivity, which I already mentioned. So improving code quality and consistency, like we won't be doing the redundant tasks or some very basic things. So there could be chances that we would be getting some better design course or code, or I would say whatever the design principles we are following, there could be an code which is following all those principles, and it could be thrown at us. So it will definitely help us to improve code quality and consistency. So what is the future of AI and machine learning in code development? So as I mentioned, these technologies are evolving continuously, and they are evolving at a very great pace. And As I mentioned again that if we are hosting our code in any of these GitHub repositories, there are chances that there could be a period when it would be writing the code based on the context or domain of our project. So it would definitely help us to have faster development cycles and more efficient software development. Copilot, as I mentioned, is still in nascent stages, challenges and limitations to their use in code development. So it is evolving, but it's still in very nascent stages. But it surprises you with throwing in a code which is very well written and which is well architected as well, which we will see some examples in our demo project. And so developers and organizations and as architects as well, we need to stay up to date with the latest development and AI and machine learning, and to carefully consider the potential benefits and risk of these technologies. So let's do some demo. The slides are generally boring, I can understand. Yeah, it's a code written in Microsoft C#. So I've mostly worked on C#, some of my experiences in Java, as I mentioned. So let's start with I would rather start with a blank file. Okay, so I have integrated Copilot into my IDE. Like what you have to do is there are some extensions present for each and every IDE. You can integrate those extensions in your IDE or code editor or whatever you are using. So apart from that, it is not free. Only 1 month of trial is free for GitHub Copilot. So if you are exceeding that, you have to pay $10 for subsequent months. Okay, so let's try to write some code. Oh, my internet is not there. Down this?
Yeah. This is something.
Done?
Yeah, okay.
So for a moment I was afraid why Copilot is not working. Still not working.
Restart again. restart the ID.
Visual Studio. So as I started writing a prompt, it generally it came up with its own suggestion, like what are the properties you want for the class to have. So let's I was starting the class, student class. It came up with its own structure of the student class. Now suppose so now I asked for like create a class containing the student as collection. So it has returned like a text. Again, it's all a text. It is code for us, but for GitHub Copilot, it's a text. So it returned a text which contained all this information. And let's write something. So again, I provided a prompt like to write a class which returns student based on the grade, like for this specific grade, how many students are there. So again, it has written this code for us. So as you can see, if we continue writing these prompts, it will keep throwing us the code. It's no longer, we don't have to write each and every sentence or so many characters if GitHub Copilot is integrated in our IDE. So all these are kind of redundant tasks. These are like basic structure of our project which we can create with the help of GitHub Copilot. Other interesting questions like prompts like create a helper class which returns the date time from epoch time. Returns the in this prompt, like suppose I wanted to return the date time difference from epoch time, but it is returning the epoch time, so we have to be careful as well, like we don't have to take everything which it throws at us. So there could be some chances that it would not be understanding the context and the prompt which we are trying to get out of it. This is a wrong example of the same, like it's not working here properly. Yep.
Can we edit the comments and then does it go and modify the...
Yes, let's see. it won't edit the same, but we have to. I did not understood that what I wanted. Yeah, so it's returning, but it won't edit the same text which it has written earlier. So apart from that, it can also help us to create the documentation. So like this is one of the README file which I had created. So now if I provide some prompt like documentation for student class. So it read the context, it basically read our classes which are written by GitHub Copilot, and based on those class designs it has written some documentation which is minimal in this case, but it can help us to write documentation of our existing libraries as well as the code which we are writing with the help of GitHub Copilot. So yep, so these were some of the capabilities, and definitely if we are helping it rightly in our projects, it can be very beneficial. It can help us to remove the redundant tasks or the tasks which we basically don't want to do as a developer. It could be of great help as a developer and as a architect, and it can help us in our projects.
So it would help in reviews as well for existing code?
No. It won't.
Only for the new code that we are writing.
So if our code lies in GitHub public repositories, I think it should be able to help you for review the code, but our code which is lying in our own repositories or in our own data center, it won't be able.
How it would help you?
Public, like it would be like, it's again a guess, I'm not very much sure. Like it might be reading the context and it would be deriving, like whatever public repositories there on GitHub, it's for sure that GitHub is reading your code. So based on that, if it understands the context, the domain, there could be, in future it could come up with reviews as well. So these could be some capabilities which we could see in future.
But if the code is in public repository, but I still haven't purchased the extension, then
No. We have, if you want to take use of GitHub capabilities, we have to purchase the subscription.
If you have custom defined variables, it will rewrite. If you write a follows with a custom and saying, so if you have a for loop and if you start writing it, and if you define the first variable with anything else, the rest of the code would be customized to it, right? From my understanding, so tag 9 was there a few years back. So that was actually taking the code directly from GitHub or public repositories. And what Copilot does is it actually trains on it and provides customization. So if you write the code actually instead of the comment,
Directly code?
yeah. So just like an advanced intelligence, I guess.
Yeah, it is throwing some.
Instead of I, can you change it to any other variable? So it uses that. I think that is where it operates.
Yeah, it's continuously reading whatever we are writing. It's taking it as prompt and sending the suggestions on the run.
Perhaps Microsoft acquired GitHub for this reason only.
Exactly. Such a great acquisition they have done. At that time, we were not understanding why
I
they.
had understood that time only.
Oh, is it? You are far ahead.
And even NPM as well.
And they
Right.
were
NPM as well.
they again invested in OpenAI, they have to do all these things.
Exactly. It's such a brilliant move.
That's Nadella's one of the.
And there can't be any competitor who Who is competitor of GitHub? There is no competitor. And like everyone wants to come to this AI field now. Recently, since yesterday only, I have seen this. I don't know if you guys have noticed or not. Google has integrated their chat in this search engine itself. Now it's returning the code based out of their AI models in their search engine itself. So the pace with AI is evolving. It's incredible.
Is it good for a newcomer?
I don't think so, because newcomer, he has to have his own basics. If he is directly going GitHub and taking help of GitHub Copilot, he would be missing his basics.
From what I see, what developers do is directly go to ChatGPT or use Copilot. What they would be missing out is going to their official documentation.
Right.
And they would be missing out on a lot of methods which they
Methods and basically concepts. So as a beginner, it's always go through documentation and
I think there are a lot of
there's a lot of younger generation.
effective utilization of resources.
Right.
Another question. So if you look at big tech and then well-funded startup, so they have this interview process, right? So one of the interview process is they ask data structure and algorithm questions. So do you think with Copilot that process becomes completely irrelevant? A candidate.
True. It becomes irrelevant.
So that becomes completely irrelevant.
If I type a prompt like with a problem, it returns me the solution.
Right.
But the student has to explain, no?
Explain, the explanation part will be still missing.
So that's what I'm saying. So that process.
At least at first round, I don't know, they when they have to write code and provide the solution,
Exactly.
like which is online, that would be kind of
The output only.
So what do you think? What should be the evolving process to assess the candidate with this coming into the picture?
it would be again analyzing their
I
skills.
can probably answer that question. I myself am from Microsoft. So you have a sorry?
You understood my
Yeah. So
Can you pass the mic?
You're asking, right?
Pass on the mic, please.
So basically, we have the first round. Basically, we have a tool that somebody uses, like it's called Totality. So they also have integrated with their own LLMs. So if you are trying to use ChatGPT, it can detect your code for So the interview platforms are also evolving with this. So it's not that we are also watching.
So again,
And top up watching, I do a lot of interviews. So see, if somebody is telling something, you have to explain, right, what is the behind, right? If somebody, I see a lot of people bring some certification and coming to use just to show that, okay, I have done this certification. But you go a little deep, right? Beyond that certification, why? And that answers, I don't think, just using the AI tool, somebody has to understand that, right? And then answer those questions.
like I get that. So my particular question is
How to
this
evaluate.
particular process where the candidate, like now is it important for candidate to know the data structure, those algorithm questions?
Still important, I guess. Would you interviewer would be easily able to
There's a fundamental.
What is efficient of
I have one question. If we get any exception during the Copilot, we can feed that exception to that and it will correct it?
exception while running my code?
Yeah, if I write a code and then I got one unqualified exception, can we provide that in a comment that we got that exception corrected? So it will correct it?
handling the exception.
Runtime, yeah, so I don't know. Right. We are not yet at that stage.
Yeah, I have a question actually regarding the privacy and security. Like you are saying, it is scrolling from the GitHub. So it is also it is a possibility that whatever code I write, because you are in G, right? Your code is private, you are private. But if you are in Copilot, how do we prohibit to Copilot to read your data?
Right. There are, while installing the these extensions, it basically asks, do you want to provide feedback to Copilot and do you want to read your prompts and yours evolve the code which has
how do we assure? He is saying that
yeah,
we will not read it.
Yeah, we have to.
How can we assure that he is not reading it?
We have to make our security teams to work on it.
Yeah, because we are in JPMC, we are not using it right now.
Right. We are also not using it.
We are privacy concerns. We are saying we are not using it.
Yeah, same with us as well.
Enterprises are signing actually agreement with the Microsoft and GitHub actually, saying that you won't be reading our code.
No, but we can't identify earlier, right?
Yeah.
After a few months, I come to know that.
No, that's a legal issue.
Legal issue, ultimately legal breach. And that's why they are very careful. If they want to sell it this one, as an enterprise level, they are taking so and so. That is between you actually, your organization.
I think the step
Code would
of
be
earlier,
exposed to outside or top.
step of earlier, stopping to testing from the people are writing answer using the ChatGPT. Now I think ChatGPT 4 they introduce some mechanism. If it is better from generated from the chat AI, they can detect. Because stop, whenever the ChatGPT came, step of stop if you are testing answers from the ChatGPT. I don't know how they are doing that.
They are the tools actually. Some tools like if you have generated the text documentation from the AI using tools, okay, it will go and read all the websites and see how much percentage of content is coming from the outside world. Like all the outside
How do they identify it?
Yeah, you can do that actually using the, like if you Google it, okay, that text, you will come to know that which website is showing up the same line of code and things.
Just to answer his question on interviews, I think in the tech round, if we explain all the technical concepts, they'll hire us as a developer. But if we fail the tech round, they'll hire us as a prompt engineer and give us higher.
Basic concepts should be very strong actually.
Hello. I just want to know about API and API documentation or automatic open API spec generation or based on open API spec any protocol generation or anything related to API.
Which API?
Like we have API documentation, REST API basically. So
Okay, so basically you want to generate documentation of your APIs, is it?
yes, that is one thing. Second thing is already predefined API there. Based on that I want to write a code.
Yes.
Everything that is.
It can generate the documentation of your existing APIs as well. If you have Copilot integrated in your
If what is Python also, I want to write Python class module based on predefined.
Yes, all the latest and greatest of programming languages and frameworks it supports. But legacy stuff we can't expect.
Documentation can be written.
Right?
And you can use Swagger OpenAI generator actually. That will always help. Like legacy APIs also you can modify and
Yeah, I personally think it's one of my discussion. I don't know if there are some areas AI replace the job like content creators where it's very obvious that AI can AI Yeah, I think in some areas AI could replace is what I personally feel like content creation and as well as to some extent in the graphic design now, like with the introduction of Good Journey and even OpenAI have something. So I just want to know like others thought as well, but maybe from context perspective particular to development it is very specific, each of the project is very dynamic, AI may not be able to understand and help us a lot on that, but I believe from the graphic design and as well as content creation it could replace. So what is your thoughts on that?
Right, it would definitely replace content creation. And speaking myself personally, like I used to write some technical blogs and articles on my blog. But since this ChatGPT and all these things, I come like I don't find motivation. Like if someone goes to ChatGPT, it would be throwing you better solutions or better explanations for whatever I am writing on my blog. So that motivation now is not coming to write something else. Sorry?
LinkedIn motivation posts coming from ChatGPT.
So I have a question. So since this Copilot is trained based on the open source code available, so people could have accidentally pushed their secrets to the GitHub repo. So if I type something like AWS key equal to, and it will like fill it with some random guys AWS key works like that.
You can try, but I don't know. People are.
Project can identify all the private keys. So it will tell you there is this and you have to.
Even there are GitHub team where security they will notify you. You are going
Alright, I think I'm done with my talk and with my presentation. Thank you everyone, thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Vikram. Big round of applause for Vikram for sharing his knowledge on.
This is a gift which I really like. I am motivated to come here again and again.
Can ChatGPT give this?
No, definitely not. Thank you.
Thanks.